In this demonstration, I will show you how you can suggest vendor payments using an available amount. First, let me go to the payment journal. And for this demonstration, I will use the general batch. And first, I will run the suggest vendor payments batch without an available amount. Now, to do so, I will click on prepare and then suggest vendor payments. As the last payment date, I will use April 30. And for the rest, I will leave all settings as they are. So there is the posting date, there is the starting document number, and if you scroll down, you can also filter on vendor. But I will not filter any vendor details because I would like Business Central to check every vendor. So next I will click on OK. Then there is the message on the posting date of another document, but I can just ignore this one. And here you can see now the payment journal with the suggested lines. All right, so again, I didn't use an available amount, which means that Business Central included all open vendor ledger entries based on the last payment date, of course. And notice that we have vendor 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and 50,000. So all these vendors are suggested. So here you can see now the amounts for each line. And just to have an idea of the total amount that these lines represent, you can print or ask the preview of the test report. So I will do this by clicking on Actions, Posting, Test Report. And there you can see now that if I make this a little bit larger, that the total amount is 42,580.21. So again, the only thing that Business Central did was looking at the due dates of the open vendor ledger entries, and based on the last payment date, it has included all these entries. But suppose that we now don't want to spend that much money on vendor payments. Well, in that case, you can use an available amount in the suggest vendor payments batch. And what Business Central will do is look at the vendor priority and suggest only vendors with the highest priority if they fit within the available amount, of course. So let me first delete the lines, and let me maybe also show you the vendor priority. So I did set the vendor priority when preparing this demo, but let me just show you an example. So here you can see that if I open vendor 10,000, and if you then look at the payments fast tab, that there is the priority field. So this vendor has 2. Vendor 20,000 has priority 1, which is considered as the highest priority. Vendor 30,000 has also 2, and so on. So this is now very important because that's what Business Central will use in combination with the available amount. All right, to demonstrate this, let's run the suggest vendor payments batch again. Now I will click on Show More, and I will enter an available amount. So for example, 25,000. There we go. Now, by entering the amount, you see that Business Central automatically selects the Use Vendor Priority field, which means that by default now, the system will look at these vendor priorities. And we will first get vendor with priority 1, then priority 2, and so on. So for the rest, I will leave everything as it is. I will click on OK. Then that's the message with the posting date again. So let's also ignore it this time. So in here you can see, first of all, that the list has less lines than the first run. So with the first run, we had lines for every vendor. Now you can also see lines for every vendor, but instead of 2 lines for vendor 50,000, there's now, for example, only 1 line, and so on. Now, by running the test report again, you can see it is a bit better. So if I click on Posting, Test Report, and if I click on Preview, and let's zoom in, you can see now that the total amount is 13,820.92. So it didn't exceed the available amount that I've entered in the suggest vendor payments batch.